Hey guys, this is 18-2. Welcome back to Zoo Tycoon Complete Collection. Last part we started the DLC zoo by building exhibits for the African wild dog and Asian black bear. Now, before I continue, for those uh, who skip my update video, uh, this series will be continuing as its educational as as its use as a vehicle for education um, seems to be transformative enough to fall within both the rules of fair use while also being COPPA compliant because the level that I'm speaking on is higher than grade school and even most middle school. So now that I've had 2 years to see what actions have been taken and get more knowledge of what's going on legally, uh, this series will continue. So, enough of the depressing stuff. Let's get on to the marginally less depressing stuff of building giant cages to put animals in. Okay, they're not actually cages. Still, we're gonna go. So we have the black bear. So now I am going to use the. Actually, I should show off an Easter egg animal. Um, do I even have it? Yes, I have Magnet the polar bear. And his mate, also Magnet the polar bear. I will get into why they are special later. Alright. Snow, salt water, rocks, shelter. So, snow. Now, this is different. Magnet is different from polar bears. When we get to actual polar bears, I will go over them in more detail. With this exhibit, I will be specifically going over who Magnet the polar bear was. So let's get the snow cave, because I'm pretty sure I have that. And then rocks. Oop. Too many rocks. Do I have the polar bear toy? I do not. So, Magnet the polar bear. Magnet was the winning animal in the Best in Show campaign was at the time of this game a 13-year-old male polar bear from the Baltimore Zoo. In fact, he was basically the mascot of the Baltimore Zoo. Magnet has been a favorite among visitors of all ages since his arrival to Baltimore in 1990. Born at the Toledo Zoo in 1988, Magnet received his name when keepers noticed the young bear never left his mother's side. He was like a magnet to her, and it was adorable. Often seen playing with toys or basking in the sun, Magnet's favorite pastime is swimming in his pool, where he dives for hours in the icy waters. While Magnet enjoys cold winters, his adaptations help him cope with warmer summers as well. Polar bears have a 4-inch layer of blubber that acts as insulation, keeping them warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Despite appearances, Magnet's fur is not white. Each hair is actually colorless and transparent with a hollow core. Polar bears look white because this hollow core scatters and reflects visible light. Beneath their fur, their skin is actually black. Actually, in this image, which is an actual picture, you can see some of the black skin, which is not the same as the nose skin, but you can see underneath the fur. Magnet enjoys eating meat and fish and weighs approximately 802 pounds. Polar bears, like Magnet, work hard to keep their fur clean. After feeding, they will head immediately for water to wash off. They will also groom themselves by licking their paws, chests, and muzzles. Polar bears, like Magnet, are solitary animals, only coming together with other bears during the spring mating season. The rest of the year they roam singly. I guess that's a word, it's just a weird one. They roam singly in small family groups consisting of a mother and her young. These animals get very agitated when placed in the same exhibit as other animals. Just generally, for the record, don't put bears in exhibits with other animals, just generally. Especially when you're dealing with apex predators. But we'll get to that. Polar bears are extremely smart. One researcher has compared their intelligence to that of apes. In captivity, in addition to the snow, ice, and deep water they respond well to more stimulating environments that also include areas of sand, grass, and hard ground, which is why you don't need any of that for an exhibit in game. That's sarcasm, by the way. When not hunting, polar bears are playful creatures. When bored, agitated, or upset, polar bears will roar, pace, and swing their heads. It's kind of like human, actually apes in general. Um, except that humans can't actually roar, but we can make roaring-ish sounds. All right, zookeepers aren't assigned to anything. So, quick side note. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this during the primate zoo, but in case I didn't, uh, it is important to notice when there's a third magnet already. When the blurb said that polar bears are intelligent as apes, that actually is a very important distinction. I mean, monkeys aren't bad either. Apes are generally more intelligent. But one thing to keep in mind is there's a difference between apes and monkeys and simians, or rather, more specifically, that simian is not a catch-all term for all primates, because you also have the prosimians, which are just dumb and nocturnal, except for lemurs. But they live in Madagascar, which is a completely different animal. Pun not intended. So, some other fun facts about Magnet. So, Magnet is about 9 feet long. His weight was at any given time was between 800 and 1,000 pounds. He lived to be 26 years old. So, you mind, at the time of the zoo Zoo Tycoon, he was 13. So that was half his lifespan. So yeah, he died after 26 years. So on my notes, which I don't think I'll ever actually make public, I hope I remember to edit that out. Like lifestyle, Magnet was solitary. because he's a single animal, and is diurnal because all zoo animals are diurnal. They're trained to be that way through conditioning. Conservation status was my favorite one, because polar bears are endangered. However, Magnet the polar bear, according to my chart, is extinct because he's dead. I know, so cheery. And he did not procreate. So there are no baby magnets in real life. That's okay. In-game, Magnet lives forever. I mean, Magnet will die in-game, but the legacy of Magnet continues through this game itself. Regardless of how many Magnets are born and die and are bought and sold, Magnet is still in the game. That's what I'm trying to say. And he ate a diet of fortified meat, fish, and lard. Um, so last, again with my morbid humor. Well, before we do that, distinctive features: plays with a red ball. Such a distinctive feature that one, it's on the Baltimore Zoo logo, or had been. I'd assume they moved on by now, but the red ball is in the picture, and the only known predator of Magnet the polar bear was kidney disease. He died of kidney disease. Yes, it's kind of morbid, that morbid humor that I put in my own personal notes. In fact, I didn't really need to share that with you. I just felt like I should, or rather, felt like it would make for good content. So next up, we're gonna go from Magnet to, let's see, do I have, I'm looking for the sable antelope. No, that's a black buck. That's an okapi. That's a bongo. Do I have a rainforest? Yeah, of course I have a rainforest area. It's over here. Alright, so the next DLC animal. This one's actually going to be a species instead of an individual. And we're going to take a look at the bongo. Let's just start out by making a quick exhibit. Bongos. Not to be confused with bongos. That's gonna want to be a bigger exhibit. Alright. Needs dirt and rainforest floor. Did it need fresh water? No. And rainforest floor. They should still want some grass. Yeah. Alright, let me see if I'm a little off with any of that. Nope, I'm good with that. And that's completely neutral. So it needs foliage, rocks, and shelter. These are hoofed. and the bongos live in Africa. You know, I'm realizing some of these uh, location designations are kind of arbitrary. I mean, Africa. Where in Africa? Africa. You know, just Africa. So, as I finish this up, and now let's take a look at the bongo. The bongo is a strikingly beautiful forest antelope that is found in parts of Kenya, the Congo Basin, East Africa, and West Africa. See, my name wasn't completely arbitrary and a reference. They actually do live in the Congo. They are the largest of the forest antelopes. Males can weigh close to 900 pounds and females up to 600 pounds. Bongos have rich chestnut coats, where each individual displaying a unique pattern of camouflaging white stripes along its side. That was a bit awkward to phrase. So that their coats, they are chestnut furred animals with white stripes for camouflage. Both sexes have heavy spiraled horns. There are two subspecies of bongo: the mountain bongo from Kenya, which is endangered, and the western or lowland bongo, which is listed as near threatened. All bongos in captivity are mountain bongos. So, uh, quick note here, bongos are currently near threatened. Both of those types. So, that's good news. Uh, where was I? Bongos are found in very dense tropical jungle regions, usually near forest margins. They use their long prehensile tongues and their horns to glean the leaves, twigs, grasses, roots, fruits, and flowers that comprise their diet. Um, Glean is an interesting way of saying they eat all the important parts. Bongos crave salt and have been observed visiting salt licks near forest edges, along with basically every other animal, because salt is one of the building blocks of life. At least for most eukaryotic creatures. The amount differs. Yeah, it's kind of necessary. And they're also known to consume wood that has been charred by lightning, presumably as a way of satisfying their need for salt and other minerals. This animal requires a permanent supply of water. As opposed to desert creatures, maybe, is what they're going with, because everything needs water. As far as I'm aware, all life, at least all eukaryotic life, requires water. So, I guess they're saying they're not nomadic? I don't get it. I don't know what they're trying to get at with there, insofar as differentiating it from every other animal. Since bongos are extremely shy and elusive creatures, not a great deal is known about their habits in their native setting. They are active in the early morning and at night, and have been observed browsing in areas where forest meets grassland. Quick reminder: browsing means is basically foraging. They're just looking for food and eating it as they find it. They will frequently wallow in mud, rubbing their hides and horns against trees afterward to clean themselves. They are making a lot of interesting choices with a lot of interesting word choices. That's one way to say they take mud baths and then they scrape off the mud using trees. Although capable of making very high leaps, bongos generally prefer to go under or around obstacles. When fleeing a threat, bongos have been observed to hold their horns on the back of their necks, possibly to avoid entanglement in surrounding vegetation. As a result of this behavior, older bongos will sometimes have bare patches of fur on their backs. Bongos have a wide range of vocalization, including grunts, snorts, a mooing call, and a bleat-like alarm call. I'm not sure which one we just heard there. I think that's a bleat-like alarm call, even though it's not actually an alarm. Among forest antelopes, bongos are the only ones to form herds. While usually found in small family groups consisting of females and their young, they may temporarily gather in herds of up to 45 animals at salt licks and waterholes. Yay, I got most popular zoo. Males are generally solitary, but several males can accompany a herd. Unlike most other African antelopes, bongos are not territorial and will not defend ground against other individuals. Home ranges are generally around 40 square miles. Bongos breed seasonally, with a single calf being born in about 9 months. After birth, calves are left alone in the underbrush, lying still to avoid detection by predators. The mother periodically returns to her calf to nurse. Yeah, I can see why they became threatened. That's not usually a good survival strategy for a mammal. Abandoning the young is usually for the animals that have large litters, because then you don't care. Some of them are going to live. With mammals, you get a very small litter size, but you take care of that litter. Bongos are weird. They just are. Bongos rely heavily on their sense of hearing rather than their sight or smell. Their large ears help them to hear approaching predators, such as leopards, hyenas, and humans. Hunters consider the bongo a valuable trophy. The other main threat to the bongo is posed by the destruction of its habitat. Yes, as a rainforest creature, its habitat is in danger. Uh, so, continuing on, they gave you the weight. Bongos tend to average about 4 feet 2 inches tall and 7 feet long. They tend to live 19 years. They, as it mentions, they eat leaves, bark, and grass. They're hunted by leopards, hyenas, lions, and humans. And actually, I really don't have much else to add about the bongo. As much fun as I made of the writing, they did a pretty good job of explaining what bongos are. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. So, for now, please remember to like or dislike and or comment and or subscribe as the algorithm demands. For now, this has been 18.2, and I will see you guys next time.